Celestia Ludenburg, in my opinion, is one of Danganronpa's biggest tragedies. A beautifully designed character with such an interesting concept, such an interesting design, wasted, completely and utterly wasted by the franchise she is in. I was listening to a Danganronpa video essay, and it really struck me how little they did with her character. So I compiled a list of every issue I take with how they handled her. Nothing necessarily about her, because she's beautiful and has no problems, and is wonderful and beautiful, and did I mention she's gorgeous? Let's go! Her introduction is one of the biggest disservices to her character, as it immediately wants you to be suspicious of her. Makoto questions, "Is Celestia Ludenburg your real name? Can you tell me your real name?" And she insists, "No, that is my real name." The game immediately wants you to be suspicious of her, not in the same way that it wants you to be suspicious of other characters. It's very head-on, with lines like, "Everything about her is wrapped in a veil of lies. She's the queen of liars," even though that is a mistranslation, it's whatever. She takes people's life savings, and she laughs as she does it. Her smile is beyond deceptive. Immediately being dealt a disservice. Of course, with her being the ultimate gambler, there is going to be obviously some suspicion on her. You know, her career is being a liar. But it's so poorly written. I think the decision to immediately have Makoto be suspicious of her name was such a mistake, because there is another indicator that her name is not authentic, but it's so minute that if you don't speak German, you won't understand. It really puts you in Makoto's shoes, because obviously how would he get that? But it's an incredibly smart detail, and I just wish they had just left it at that, and not insisted so hard on her name being out of place. Because are you genuinely telling me that Makoto doesn't realize that Japanese people can be born outside of Japan? Come on, dog! Another thing that I find interesting, it's not necessarily important, I just want to point it out, is her first line of dialogue. I believe is an Alice in Wonderland reference, which you could definitely draw parallels between her and the Queen of Hearts, but also I feel like there's definitely other aspects of Alice in Wonderland that you can compare to Celeste's character. I just think it's a cute detail. Throughout chapters 1 and 2, Celestia doesn't necessarily do much. She acts as just a sort of gentle guide, offering details or hints or clues, but she's never a big player until chapter 3. Considering chapter 3 is Celestia's chapter, I take a lot of gripes with it. I don't appreciate how it handles her character at all. It forces her into the limelight, and you can tell that it's her. Despite her pseudo-injury placing her as a big part in the investigation, she is still so overtly present that it throws you off. If you compare, you know, how much Mondo was involved in Chihiro's case, or Leon and Sayaka's, it's so staggeringly different. Could this be an intentional choice? Yes. But do I think it was? No. I think Celestia would be too smart to overly involve herself in something when she knows that she is guilty. Being the Queen of Liars, you should know that if you overly compensate while weaving a lie, it will make you look suspicious. I think she is too smart to do that. I think this was just the writers being kind of not that smart. I think her chapter could have been done so much better if there was more subtlety. As a part of her plan, she puts herself in this sort of damsel in distress role. She yells out for help, pretending that she's being, attacked, when in reality she's not. That really intrigues me, because up until this point we had only seen Celeste in roles of domination and authority, bossing around Hifumi, sort of directing conversations where she wants them to go. It's a very self-aware decision on Celeste's behalf, and a very smart one at that, but it is so very clumsily handled by the writing. it is immediately obvious what she's doing, that she is portraying herself as a deer in headlights to garner sympathy and empathy from the others so that suspicion is drawn away from her. An issue I'm sure a lot of people have had with Danganronpa is occasionally it treats its players like they are genuinely actually stupid, like they were born yesterday. Chapter 3 is one of the biggest examples of this. Every answer is served to you on a platter, which is terrible for a game that, thrives on mystery. It's a mystery visual novel. Not really much mystery to it when you're practically explaining the entire thing for your players. Another seemingly out-of-character behavior she exhibits during this time is her reliance on her alibi with Aoi. She insists repeatedly that they were in the bathroom together. If she was secure in her lie, why would she do that? It really makes no sense. She would know that insisting on her alibi would make her look more suspicious to the others. It doesn't add up. Celeste's persona is intricately crafted, and it's not until chapter 3 that we really see her mask slipping. When cornered, she gets angry, she gets defensive, and it's here we see her insecurities really shine through. She perceives her real name as a loser's name. She's ashamed of her upbringing. She wants to be this untouchable, unstoppable, ethereal being. Everything about herself she falsified in means to suffocate this shame she holds. A shame so strong that she would literally kill to maintain her persona. The further she's backed into a corner, the more her accent slips too, which I find very interesting. If you really pay attention to when her real accent comes in, you'll notice it's when she's trying to make a point about her character, when she's sort of trying to defend herself. I say sort of because she did a kind of bad job. And when a lot of her actual beliefs come out, then her European accent comes back in when she's lying. One thing that I've never truly understood about her persona so abruptly slipping is she has 100% been in high-stakes scenarios before. Scenarios akin to the trial where a lot of money is on the line. So why now does her mask slip? The answer is they needed to end the trial. The writers really needed to find a way to wrap it up. So, and obviously I understand that they have to come to an end, but it's so blunt and it's so rushed in comparison to the trials that come before and after it that I can't not complain about it. But where I will give them credits is how they handle her relenting, her giving up, and then her execution subsequently. As ironic as it sounds, I think her execution is one of the best things they did for her character. It's super symbolic, it's super reflective of her character. To have her believe that she's, in a sick way, kind of won by going out in this blaze of glory, quite literally, and then having her be hit by a vehicle. One of the most non-natural, common ways to die. It's genius, actually. It's simple, but I do really appreciate it. As for her confession, she explains that her dream and her motive for killing was to win the prize money to buy herself a castle and to have a bunch of butlers, pretty sure to dress up as vampires. She's so real. I see this as less of a genuine desire, but more a pinnacle of her persona. The sort of ultimatum, this is what solidifies Celestia Ludenburg. This isn't what Teiko Yasuhiro wants. What she truly wants is for the Celestia Ludenburg brand to be complete. The castle is the cherry on top. Even in her final moments, she is still latching onto Celestia Ludenburg. She forces a smile, which Makoto instantly recognizes as false. She would prefer to die as Celeste opposed to Teiko. That is how much she despises who she truly is. And it's absurd that only in her final moments do we see her character truly shine. This is, her biggest moment, and it's as she's about to die. One of the things she mentions before she gets executed is Marie Antoinette, how she wishes to be reincarnated as her, and obviously one of the things that she is known for most is her death, is her execution. So I sort of perceive this as she knows that this upcoming death of hers isn't necessarily going to be as iconic as she prefer. She'd prefer it to be publicized and to have it go down in history. She knows that only a select group of people are going to witness this happen, and it displeases her, though she doesn't necessarily express it. Another very interesting aspect of her character that I didn't mention at the start when I brung up her design is the butterfly on her tie, and also the skulls. Skulls and butterflies don't really appear on her design anywhere else. I believe there is some butterflies on the lace, but it's mostly a floral pattern. The flower symbolism is very self-explanatory. Flowers are symbols of elegance, femininity, softness, everything that she is trying to portray. Butterflies represent transformation, sort of a type of growth, going from one thing to a better thing, i.e. her going from Takeo to Celeste and vice versa. At least that's how she perceives it. As for the skulls, I believe they represent her underlying cruelty, her sort of aggressive nature that she suppresses, especially since they are, I guess, on a type of spear, I think. They're on a type of stick. This also could be a death symbolism. Since they're next to the butterfly, this could be her killing off Takeo in favor of Celeste, which I think is beautiful. I love that. But ultimately, all of these positive aspects and really intriguing details are overshadowed by her unfortunate writing and the negligence that she is dealt with. And obviously, when you have such a big cast of characters in a game like Danganronpa, not all of them are going to be able to be fleshed out. You know, there's 15 of them, well, 16 of them. But there is definitely more that could have been done. And Chapter 3 could have been handled far better. Sorry that this isn't really much of a video, it's just kind of a nothing burger. I just really wanted to get this out there somehow, and I thought, I have a YouTube channel. Oops, I forgot about that! Yeah, I've just been sort of busy. I haven't really had a lot of time to really supply you guys with any content. Well, the little of you that there are. Yeah, maybe I'll be back soon with something genuine. But if you enjoyed my rant, do all the YouTube stuff, you know, the YouTube crap I'm supposed to say, like, subscribe, leave a comment. Tell me your opinions. What do you think about Celeste? And what do you think about my takes? You're allowed to disagree. Just don't be an asshole about it, you know? I will see you all next time. Maybe for another rant. Maybe for an actual video essay, maybe. Some stuff that I've been working on. We'll just have to see. Bye, guys!